This story has all the elements of a true government witch hunt with terrible consequences for everyone involved. Because on February 10th of this year, Nikita Uvarov, age 16, was found guilty and sentenced to 5 years in prison in a case that was primarily based on his activities in the online game Minecraft. So it all starts with three boys, Bogdan Andreev, Denis Mikhailenko, and Nikita Uvarov, who were barely 14 years old at the time when they got arrested in the southern part of Siberia. These three were hit with what you can easily describe as the worst possible charge to get in Russia, which is being part of a terrorist organization to overthrow the government. Because having his government overthrown is literally Putin's worst nightmare, which is why these boys were actually facing life in prison if they were found guilty on all these charges, which also included training for terrorist activities, being in possession of explosives, and reading forbidden literature, which sounds a lot sexier than it actually is. Now you might ask, what evidence has been brought forth to warrant such serious charges? Well, that's the crazy part, because it all revolves around the plans to blow up a government building in Minecraft. The entire investigation has been based on the destruction of a virtual building in a computer game. This is government conspiracy on steroids, where weak evidence is strung together to create an even weaker narrative so that they can convict innocent people of serious crimes. The only real thing that these boys are guilty of was posting leaflets in the town of Kansk. These leaflets were expressing support for a famous Russian mathematics student named Azat Mifstakhov. Now, Azat is considered one of the best upcoming mathematicians in Russia, winning several awards during his time in college, which even resulted in him getting support from the Ministry of Education. However, this support came to an abrupt end when he was arrested on bogus charges for manufacturing explosives. You see, Azat was found to be affiliated with an anarchist movement, and as a popular rising star, the Russian government naturally saw Azat as a huge threat. So they arrested and tortured him for 3 days, after which he was released by a judge since they had no evidence against him. However, immediately after his release, Azat was detained again in the backyard of the police station, and they charged him with the destruction of property of a Russian political party. This supposed destruction happened 1 year earlier, and Azat was never linked to the incident until that very moment. Obviously, this was another trumped-up charge, and even more ridiculous than the first one, since the charge was based on 2 secret witnesses that supposedly recognized Azat by his eyebrows. So as you can imagine, many young Russians stand in support with Azat and are trying to draw more attention to the case to get him out of prison, which is exactly what these 3 teenagers were doing when they were spreading these leaflets. Which brings us to the real reason why the Russian government was so hell-bent on convicting these boys of terrorism, even though they hadn't done nothing to warrant that, which is simply the government trying to crush any support for Azat and create an atmosphere of fear surrounding his case. Just like in the Azat case, the 3 boys were accused by a secret witness who claimed to have seen that the boys were in possession of explosives when they were posting the leaflets. Now, this accusation led to their homes being searched and their computers and phones being confiscated, and this is where the story goes from bad to absolutely insane. Because up until this point, there is no real evidence against the boys for anything other than distributing leaflets. However, when the police found a replica of the FSB building in Minecraft on their computers and indications to blow up this virtual version, they pretended as if they had just uncovered a massive terrorism plot. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the FSB, it's basically Russia's version of the CIA and the successor to the infamous KGB. The FSB reports directly to the Russian president, so it's not exactly ideal to have a virtual version of their building on your computer and plans to blow it up. However, Minecraft is still just a computer game, and we're dealing with 14-year-old kids here that were obviously just playing around. It was very unfortunate for the boys that they had videos of themselves playing with fireworks in an abandoned building, something that millions of kids around the world do every single day. However, the police took these videos as proof of explosives training and training for terrorist activities, which is just insane. They even added to this that the boys were undergoing gun training, which was again based on the video games on their computers. So mainly driven by the Minecraft evidence, Nikita Uvarov was put in detention for almost 2 years, where he was questioned rigorously, and the 2 other boys were put under house arrest since they were cooperating with the government, although it was clear that they didn't do this voluntarily. In the end, the charges of being part of a terrorist organization were dropped, since apparently not even a fake trial could convict him of that, and he was only given 5 years in prison instead of the 9 years that the prosecution wanted. Sadly, this is the current reality of Putin's Russia, where the government is so scared of any critical voices that they go to great lengths to cook up fake terrorism charges on thousands of young Russians, since it's the easiest way to lock up people while giving the appearance of a fair trial.